Hey guys, it's me, Mr. 250, and welcome back to 999. 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. A few things I wanted to go over before I started with this. Thank you for the comments on the first video, everyone who did that. I really appreciate it. And I was told afterwards that I had been pronouncing the main character's name wrong. The character I had referred to as Junpei is in fact Junpei. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm pretty sure I was told by a friend that, and I was told by you guys in the comments. So thank you for the help. Another thing, probably, this is probably a good idea to do, because it is a little deceptive. This game, at least at first, doesn't seem like the worst, but from what I know, it does have some stuff to it. Let me read you what it is. First off, this game's rated M. Let me read you why. For blood, drug references, strong language, suggestive themes, and violence. So take that as you will. Make your decision on whether or not you want to watch this, and if so, we're going to continue from here. So last time we picked up all those key cards, and I'm pretty sure we could swipe them through here, probably. The cards with numbers on them. I'm pretty sure this is where I'm supposed to use them. Alright, let's slide this card and see if it works. And... oh, they're stars. Huh? It's not working? Why? Dang it. No, that's right. I still have cards I haven't used. Let's try the red cards. Dang it. Not again. There aren't any more cards in here. I've only got one other hint. Of course. The files. The files said something about a digital root. A digital root. The digital root, huh? What am I supposed to do with... there's a 5 on that door. Do I have to get a digital root of 5? No, that's not quite right. I'm not really sure about this. Whatever. It's worth a shot. Let's see if this works. I'll just slide the cards that give me the digital root of 5 through the reader. Okay. Well, the digital root of 5 is 5, right? Or am I thinking of this incorrectly? Touching reset will deselect all the currently selected cards. Okay. So, do we need to get 3 cards that add up to 5? Maybe that's what we need to do. What are the blue cards for, then? Oh. Wait. I need to make... the 5 is the digital root, and I need to find the number that makes the digital root of 5. Okay. Well, making 5 isn't going to work, I think, as we found out. So let's try something that would give us... wait, no, that's not as simple as that. Let me just try stuff and see what happens. So... does a digital root of 10 mean 1? Yeah, it does. Okay. And I could just sit here and, keep tapping cards. But I'm not sure how far that would get me. Like, there's a lot of combinations. I could spend quite a while here. Is there a way to maybe, work a digital root backwards? Not quite. I mean, you kind of can, but not quite. There must be a way to this. Oh yeah, I was told another thing. Axel, you had mentioned that, that you had a background for me. I think I'm gonna just not have a background for this one series. Just because I'm worried with the notes that I'm adding, and with, just with, I'm adding the notes to the side as you saw. I'm worried, oh, okay, cool, I just happened upon it. I'm worried that it's going to get a little too cluttered with all that on there, and you're not going to see much of the background anyway, so I'm just going to leave it background-less for this series. And there we go, okay, I got it. Cool. Alright, I think this is gonna work. There we go. That's a new noise. Huh? Did it just unlock? Well, that light was red, now it's blue. No doubt about it. There's nothing keeping me in here now. Time to go. Okay, yep, let's go. The only door in and out of this room is right next to the weird device. Oh, do I have to back up and then go to the door? Okay. And it opened. Ooh, it's gonna be beyond the door. You found it. I did, I indeed found it. I don't know if found is the correct word, I kind of stumbled upon it. Accompanied by a wall of angry water, Junpei shot out of the room and into the opposing wall. Gasping to catch his breath, he looked around. He was in a narrow hallway. The water that had followed him out of the room was rapidly pouring out the door. It flowed quickly down the hallway and slammed into the foot of the short flight of stairs. Just 5 steps, in fact. Ooh. And at the top of the short staircase. A door! Another door! Junpei leapt up the stairs, straight for the door. The door burst open and Junpei exploded out of it, only to freeze in his tracks. What other possible response could there have been to what he saw? Well, what the heck? His voice trailed off, and all he could do was stare. Wow, this is rather nice. A polished floor stretched out before him, ornate staircases rising up from the edges, each one of them equidistant from the others. The stairs and pillars were solid wood, and art noevu? I'm not sure of that word. Embellishments and decorations covered the walls and pillars. It looked like nothing so much as the entrance to a luxurious mansion from the early 1900s. Junpei could hardly help but wonder. Was he really in a shit? The water quickly filling the hallway behind him suggested that, yes, he was. As he looked, a fresh wave rolled out of the room he'd been in, gathering speed as it moved towards the stairs. Yeah, that's what I thought. This is totally a boat. Wait, what the heck? A wave? I gotta get out of here! Junpei spun around, his wet shoes squeaking in protest on the polished floor, and ran towards the tremendous staircase in front of him. C deck. B deck. Okay, this is kind of cool. I wasn't expecting that. As he ran, he glanced quickly at the plates mounted on the wall, denoting the decks of the ship. He took the stairs 2 at a time, not entirely sure where he would find himself. Just as he began to wonder where, in fact, the stairs did lead. Oh, hi. Hi there, people. Junpei saw another person out of the corner of his eye. He stopped short, nearly tripping over the next stair, and looked. It wasn't just one person he'd seen. On the landing to the left of the stairs, there were 4 people staring at him. Oh, and another 3, and on the right, 3 more. All told, there were 7 of them. It looked as though they had been on their way down the stairs. They stopped short when they saw Junpei, their eyes wide. He'd done the same, of course, and now they stood there staring at one another. Junpei didn't move, one foot placed awkwardly on the next step, in the middle of a stride. Who were these people? The entire interaction lasted only a matter of seconds. The woman spoke to Junpei, and time began to move again. I guess there's another one of us now. The woman was dressed, Junpei thought, rather like a dancer. Her clothes covered very little, and her I know that word, why can't I say it? It's the... Prestigious. No, that's not right. Prodigious? Jewelry little more. Hey, you, come on! Hurry! With no further ceremony, she ran, straight past Junpei and towards the doors behind him. The sudden proximity of a woman with such striking assets left Junpei momentarily stunned. But the others wasted no time and quickly followed the strange woman. The first to pass Junpei was a young man with silver hair. I'm sure that's important because it's in brackets. He threw a quick glance in Junpei's direction as he ran, muttering, one of us, huh? Following him was an older man, his face calm and without fear. Soft wrinkles sprouted from his eyes, and he came close enough as he passed for Junpei to see wisps of gray in his hair. His composure and shock of hair struck Junpei as rather that of an elderly lion. Going up won't do you any good. There are 2 doors, but neither of them will open. The next to speak was a girl with pink hair and a high voice. Come on! Aren't you coming? You gotta hurry! Her small hand was wrapped around the wrist of another man. His eyes were closed, almost as though he were sleeping. His features were graceful, almost serene. And he was dressed rather elegantly for someone of his age. Something about his posture seemed very refined, and Junpei couldn't help feeling he was noble and dignified somehow. He'd certainly never seen one, but this man seemed like what Junpei had always imagined a prince would look like. That's 9 of us, then. All of the cards are in hand. What does all of the cards in hand mean, he wondered. Junpei opened his mouth to ask what the other man had meant, but the girl with pink hair rushed past him, and they were gone. He turned just in time to see 2 more people running towards him. One of them had hair like a bird's nest, and looked as though a stiff breeze might topple him. And the other was a veritable mountain of a man. The scrawny one said nothing, and scuttled past Junpei as though he were running from something. Hey, what the heck are you standing there for? Didn't you hear him? The doors on A deck are no good. We gotta check the doors on B deck. Got it. Got it? Now go. Before he had a chance to respond, the man laid a massive hand on Junpei's shoulder. With no more effort than Junpei would have used to brush aside a fly, the man shoved him out of the way. Whoa! Thrown off balance by the man in recent events, it took Junpei a few steps to get his bearings. He finally regained his balance and looked up at what the other seven had been running towards. There were 2 pairs of large iron doors set into the wall in front of him. They looked quite sturdy, and each had handles jutting from them. Written across the surface of each door in red paint was a number. The door on the right had a 4. And the door on the left had a 5. Which, we had a 5, yep. They're the same. The guy Junpei had decided to call Silver was mumbling to himself. The room I woke up in had a number on the door, just like that. You too, eh? With an arched eyebrow, the lion looked over at Silver. My cell was the same. A number upon the door. I opened it, ran down the hallway outside, and found myself in the rather grand room, full of stairs, and, as I suspected, did the rest of you. It was as though the floodgates had been opened. They all began to talk at once. Me too. I did too. Yeah, a door with a number on it. It soon became clear that each one of them had awoken in a room with a locked door and solved a puzzle to escape. They all ended up in the same room. Almost as though they'd been guided there. Yeah, we all saw the same thing. That's not important. We need to hurry. Yeah, you don't think I know that lady? Before the dancer had time to finish, Silver was already running. He grabbed hold of the door labeled 5 and pulled. However, it's not opening. This dang thing won't even budge. Move. You're in the way. The mountain grabbed Silver's shoulder and tossed him aside. You need to learn how to, talk to people, man. His path cleared, he took a few steps back and threw himself at the door. Once. Twice. 3 times. 4 times. The door shook as his body slammed into it, but showed no signs of breaking or opening. The mountain threw himself at the door again. Junpei turned towards door 4. Next to the door on the wall was a small box. Vacant. It looked just like the one he'd seen in his room next to that door. Not quite, but kind of. If it was the same, then this door was likely locked as well. Still, he had to check. Junpei grabbed a handle and threw all of his weight onto it. Ugh! Ugh! It was locked as tight as the door next to it, as he suspected. Dang it! Junpei punched the door. It did not respond. Were these the only two doors, he wondered? He barely finished the thought when C-deck platy passed on his way up, sprang, unbidden to his mind. His body moved before he had time to think. Junpei turned and ran back towards the stairs. He had scarcely taken a step when, at the top of the stairs next to an ornate clock embedded in the wall, he saw a person. Oh, hi there. It was a girl. She looked to be the same age as Junpei. He froze, unable to look away from her face. He wasn't confounded by her beauty or something equally silly. No, there was another reason he couldn't take his eyes off the girl. Junpei had seen her somewhere before. He couldn't quite remember where, but he knew. He knew he'd met her before. The girl, too, stared at Junpei, similarly stunned. Her response suggested she'd seen him before as well. Oh. Without saying a word, Junpei walked slowly towards her. She didn't move. It was almost as though she was held in place by some sort of magical spell. As Junpei stepped onto her landing, the spell broke. No sooner had he set his foot down than the whole ship shook a second time. Ah! The quake caught the girl unprepared, and she fell. Moving on instinct, Junpei leapt to catch her. Or so he thought. Awkward. Her face was far closer than it should have been, mere inches from his own. He was flat on his back, and she had landed squarely on top of him. The girl seemed as confused as he did, and her face suggested she still hadn't fully recovered from seeing him. For a moment, that seemed to stretch for a very long time, they stared at one another. The ship stopped shaking. Everything was quiet. Water could be heard from the bottom of the ship, lapping faintly at the walls and ceilings, but eventually that faded as well. The silence was complete, a thick, muffling blanket. At last, the girl opened her mouth. Oh my gosh, is that you, Jumpy? Jumpy? Jumpy. Her words echoed through Junpei's head, and suddenly his memory returned. Akane? I hope that's Akane. Why hadn't he realized it before? This girl was Akane Kurashiki. She and Junpei had been friends in childhood. They'd gone to elementary school together for 6 years. But what was she doing on the ship? Her soft eyes were only inches away from his own. He could feel the warmth of her face. Feelings he thought he'd long forgotten began to work their way to the surface. He could feel his face heating up. At that moment, a speaker crackled to life, and a cold, eerie voice filled the room. Welcome aboard! I welcome you all, from the bottom of my heart, to this, my vessel. With the voice's invasion, the spell between Junpei and Akane, I'm gonna go with Akane, was broken, and all hints of burgeoning romance instantly forgotten. They hurriedly untangled themselves from one another and struggled to their feet. Their 7 companions had heard the voice as well, and many of their faces had gone pale. They looked around frantically, desperate to locate the source of the voice. At last, they found it. A speaker set in the ceiling. I am Zero, the captain of the ship. I also am the person who invited you here. The voice was harsh, obscured occasionally by the crackle of static. But Junpei recognized it. How could he have forgotten it? It was the same voice he had heard from the man in the gas mask. Hey, what the heck is this? Come on out of here, I want to get a look at you. What do you mean to do to us? I mean to have you participate in a game. Some of you, I know, are familiar with this game. The Nonary game. It is a game where you'll put your life on the line. Nonary game? What the heck's that? The voice continued, implacable. rules of the nonary game can be found upon your persons. They're simple rules. Read them. Nonary game? Hey, there's something in my pocket. Check this out. You didn't notice that was in your pocket earlier? Silver reached into his pocket and pulled out a small slip of paper. The rest of them reached into their own pockets and pulled out similar slips of paper. Junpei followed suit and dug into the pocket of his pants. He felt the telltale crumple of paper, slightly damp from his earlier ordeal. Hey, I got one too! Then it would seem Zero has seen fit to grace us each with a letter. Would you mind terribly reading it to us, young man? His request had been delivered to Junpei, who, after a short moment of surprise, did as he'd been asked. On this ship, you will find a handful of doors emblazoned with numbers. As we have, we will call them the numbered doors. The doors in front of you are a pair of the same. The key to opening these numbered doors are the numbered bracelets that each of you possess. Should you total the number on your numbered bracelets, and find that the digital root of the number is equal to the number of that door, the door will open. Only those who have opened the door may pass through. There are, however, limits. Only 3 to 5 people can pass through one numbered door. All those who entered must leave, and all those who enter must contribute. Bracelet, Junpei figured, had to mean the bulky thing on his wrist. He glanced around. It looked like everyone else had one as well, and had come to much the same conclusion. The purpose of the game is simple. Leave the ship alive. It's a simple purpose, I suppose. It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9. Junpei had reached the end of the letter. There was a long moment of silence, and then the speaker crackled to life once more. There is one last thing I must tell you. As you have no doubt surmised, the ship has begun to sink. On April 14th, 1912, the famous ocean liner Titanic crashed into an iceberg. After remaining afloat for 2 hours and 40 minutes, it sank beneath the waters of the North Atlantic. I will give you more time. 9 hours. He sure does like the number 9, doesn't he? That is the time you will be given to make your escape. The voice finished, and the speaker went silent. The sound of a bell tolling echoed through the hall. It came from the dance hall adjacent to the stairwell. It took those assembled on the stairs mere moments to trace the sound to an antique clock embedded in the wall. 7, 8, 9. The sound of the 9th bell faded away. The 10th never came. That meant the time was 9 o'clock. Most likely 9 o'clock in the evening. When Junpei had peered out the window of his cell, he'd seen nothing but blackness. Well, you had been underwater, so that might have had a little bit of something to do with that. It had to be nighttime. If that was the case, then they would need to escape by 6 a.m. the following day. Now it is time. Let our game begin. I wish you all the best of luck. Bum, bum, bum. The speaker went silent and did not speak again. Ooh. I like this music. Silver yelled at the speaker with language coarse enough to embarrass a sailor, but the rest of Junpei's companions were silent, deep in thought. Junpei, too, was consumed by his thoughts. There was a great deal he didn't understand. Who was Zero? What was the nonary game? Why had he chosen to make them part of it? Was he a criminal who took delight in playing with his victims? Or did he have some other purpose? And why had Junpei been chosen to be a part of this insane game? Why had any of them been chosen? But one question was foremost on his mind. Akane. They hadn't seen one another since elementary school. Why had she appeared now? Coincidence? No, that seemed impossible. There had to be a reason. He didn't know what it might be, but there had to be a reason. Very well. The lion's voice seemed oddly loud in the silence. Standing around here won't do us any good. Best we get moving, don't you think? Get moving? Are you planning to open the numbered doors? Hey, wait. Don't tell me you're actually going to do what this zero says. No, that's not what I mean. The lion shook his head, mildly annoyed. I'm saying, let's find another way. After all, we haven't really examined this place yet. What? Okay. And how long are we gonna spend in here? Their separate investigations finished, all 9 people returned to where they left one another. The result of all their work was nothing. They were completely sealed in. Their hard work had not gone completely to waste, however. They had learned a number of things as they scoured the parts of the ship they could reach. It seems that they were confined to decks A through C. C deck was as far down as they would be able to go, however. The reason being that Deck D was completely submerged. Strangely, however, the water had risen no higher than D deck. The flow seemed to have been stopped somehow, as evidenced by the surface of the water on D deck, which was smooth as glass. The prince knelt down and gently drew his hand across it. Perhaps this Zero fellow has used some sort of remote control to seal a watertight door lower down. He said that her time limit was 9 hours. In other words, this water won't rise for 9 hours. Not necessarily. It just might not rise completely to the top of the ship till 9 hours. But, maybe. Then what you're saying is we won't sink till then? Well, that may be a little too optimistic. No point of wishful thinking. My thoughts exactly. There were 3 metal doors in Deck C. A single door stood off to the side, with 2 more on the wall facing the central staircase. None of them had numbers or verification devices. They were, however, locked like the other doors. No matter how much they pushed and shoved, the doors refused to move. The mountain and the lion threw themselves against them a few times, but to no avail. The door in the back had a keyhole. Just above it was a strange mark in the shape of a circle surrounding a dot. There were 2 other doors in Deck C as well, but it was clear they were elevators, as each of them had a button next to it with an upside-down triangle. They tried pushing the button. No response, as you would expect. Apparently there was no power running to the elevators. To the left of the elevator doors was a card reader. The card reader also had a strange mark on it. It looked like a lowercase h, with a dash drawn across the upper stem of the H. Junpei stared at it for a while. This is a symbol of Saturn. It's an astrological symbol. Then the mark on the other door, I think that was the sun symbol. They had seen the same symbols on Deck A. There was a door on either side of the stairs. The one on the left had a keyhole with a similar symbol engraved on it. This is an Earth symbol. The horizontal line symbolizes the equator, and the vertical one symbolizes the prime meridian. Junpei looked at the ceiling. There was a great circle cut in it, perhaps for a skylight or glass dome, but it had been filled with a gargantuan metal plate. The metal looked very solid. Anything short of an explosive charge was unlikely to damage it. There were several windows along both sides of the ship, or at least there had been. They too were covered with metal plates. In other words, there was no way out. We're trapped. All the exits go nowhere.